If it's Thursday, that means it's the Thursday Night Thunder Series. Welcome, everybody. I'm Ellis Thomas alongside Chris Smith in the Slingshot Racing Media booth tonight. We're bringing you live racing action in race number 11 in the Gen 4 ARCA cars of the TNT Series tonight from Darlington Raceway. Dubbed the track too tough to tame, Darlington lives up to its fearsome reputation. The iconic circuit is a relentless challenge, an unforgiving battlefield where the slightest misjudgment can exact a steep toll. Errors here occur in the blink of an eye, and their consequences are severe. Even the seasoned drivers who navigate this 1.36-mile circuit unscathed usually carry a Darlington stripe as a badge of honor, a testament to their close encounters with the unforgiving walls. It's a proving ground like no other. What sets Darlington apart is its unique egg-shaped design, a masterful engineering feat that gracefully accommodated the constraints of a highway to the north and a minnow pond to the southwest. This track is a true testament to the marriage of innovation and tradition. Darlington has been an integral part of the NASCAR Premier Series since its inauguration back in 1950. Back then, it was one of just two paved ovals in all of NASCAR, and the only one exceeding half a mile in length. Darlington was, in essence, the birthplace of the super speedway concept in stock car racing. Prior to the legendary Daytona 500 back in 1959, the Southern 500 reigned supreme as the most prestigious and lucrative race of the Premier Series on the calendar. Its history is rich with legendary moments, none more captivating than the unforgettable 2003 showdown when Kurt Busch clinched a victory by a mere 0.02 of a second, etching a defining chapter in Darlington's storied legacy. Chris, the original grandstands from 1958 are still in use today, and not much has really changed about this track since its beginning. It was a challenge then, and it's just as much, if not more, of one now for these drivers in these high horsepower cars. What are they going to have to do for 150 laps tonight to make it to the end?
Well, the biggest thing is race the racetrack, Ellis. That's going to be one of the key stories that we'll keep our eyes on all night tonight. But another thing is look after your stuff. Look after your tires. Look after your fenders. And try to make sure that you're around at the end of this thing. If you are, you're probably sitting in a pretty good chance to win. This is a driver's track, and drivers, they feel really, really good about themselves if they're able to come out of Darlington with a victory. We got about 70 laps on a tank of fuel in this 150-lap race distance that we have tonight, so we expect at least 2 stops. Probably more than that, though, considering how much the tires are wearing out. It says down there, low tire degradation expected. I think that we'll see some higher tire degradation than what that graphic shows tonight. Should be very entertaining all race long.
Tires are going to be one of those stories we're following all night long, Chris. And before we get to those stories, we're going to take a break to do everyone's favorite pre-race tradition, the playing of the national anthem. We'll be back on the other end of the anthem to set the race up. All right, we are back here from Darlington, South Carolina, getting ready for 150 laps around for the TNT Series, race number 11 of 15, Chris. And we're going to set this race up with some stories, but before we get to those official stories, really one of the biggest stories is the points. This is the next to last race before the cutoff for the 3-race playoff, Chris, where the top 10 drivers will be reset within just a 50-point margin, 5 points between each driver. And it's going to really come down to tonight and next week at Phoenix to decide who's going to make it. If we're looking at those point standings right now, obviously you've got Aaron Smith and Levi Cox. They've kind of been number 1 and number 2 all season long, but you've got all those other drivers very close to each other with some big battles going on throughout the field, really starting with Chase Leahy, back to Chris Blassie, Greg Sheptis. They're all within striking distance, and those top 10, Chris, the key is make it to the chase, and then anything can happen with just 5 points between each of the top 10 drivers. It's a whole new season for those final 3 races.
It is. It's a big opportunity for them. You might feel like that you're out of the championship hunt, maybe in other formats at this point in the season, maybe just racing for race wins, but it's anybody's game here in the TNT series as we get this reset here in a couple weeks, like you said, Ellis. So, for these remaining 2 races right here, just try to, like I said, go for the win. Try to get a victory if you don't have one yet this season, or maybe improve your current position in the points.
Hey, and one thing we would be remiss if we didn't mention, one driver that's not in this playoff picture so much, but is a factor in these remaining races, Braxton DeWeese. He's come on strong in the past 3 races. In fact, his first 3-race appearance in this series, and he's got really a big role he's going to play in this championship fight, kind of inserting himself in the middle of those top 3 or 4 positions in each of the final 4 races. So we're going to be on the lookout for the driver, that number 33. We'll talk more about him throughout the race. Chris, let's talk about those stories to set up what we're going to see tonight at Darlington. Really, the biggest story is going to be the wall itself. We talk about all the nicknames Darlington has, the Lady in Black being one of them. She'll jump out and get you at any moment. What do you have to do if you're a driver to make passes against your competitors, but also stay out of the wall while doing so?
Yeah, Darlington's a little bit different than a lot of the other ovals that we visit just because you have to be strategic everywhere that you go, but here it seems like it's magnified 10 times. I always try to think about trying to pass off the corner here versus, maybe some other spots where you try to get up underneath somebody in the center of the corner. Getting up underneath somebody on corner exit, I think, is the way to do that tonight. Turns 1 and 2 is very different than turns 3 and 4, so you got to have a mentality of, all right, so maybe I can generate my momentum on this end and complete the pass on that other end. So it's a real thinking driver's racetrack, and we're going to definitely see that on tap here tonight.
Is there a place where you like to set up the passes if you're kind of guiding a driver? What's the strategy? What's the mentality there?
So turns 1 and 2 are a lot faster than turns 3 and 4. You can't really pass somebody in turns 1 and 2, but you can generate a lot of momentum coming off of turn 2, because that's where we see a big variation in speed, especially as the tires get more and more wore out. So coming off turn 2, I want to try to have the best launch that I can have off of turn 2 so I can get my nose to that driver coming off of turn 2, get to the inside of him down that straightaway, and then when we get to turns 3 and 4, which is also narrow, but you can actually race down there on that end side by side, I feel like I'm in a pretty good position to make the pass down in 3 and 4.
We'll be keeping an eye on the strategies that all these drivers use tonight and who plays it right, maybe who makes those classic Darlington mistakes. Chris, another thing to talk about is tire wear. We talked to some of the drivers in pre-race. They shared their concerns about the tire heat over the course of long runs. And we've had long runs, Chris, in the past 2 races, just 1 caution across nearly 400 miles of racing. We could see a similar story tonight, and tires are going to be at a premium. Is there anything you can do as a driver to save your tires in these tight corners around asymmetrical Darlington?
Yeah, you can definitely do a few things. Number one, like I said before, turns 1 and 2 can be a very, very big, tire wear point of the track. So, being very patient on the throttle down there on that end of the track, I think those drivers that are able to do that, you're going to see them really get off of turn 2 well. I also think that drivers who are willing to let other drivers go, you're going to see a lot of give and take tonight. Drivers who are willing just to squeeze out of that throttle on the straightaway and let that driver go past them going into the next corner. I think that those drivers are not only setting themselves up for high percentage, passes later on, but they're also thinking about the long game tonight to possibly be able to hold on to those tires. So that's definitely something I'm going to keep my eye on all night tonight.
Yeah, and speaking of tires, pit road, Chris, last story to talk about tonight. It is a tight one. It really starts halfway through turns 3 and 4, and it's easy to miss if you're not careful. You and I have both missed it. It's cost us good finishes, and it could strike tonight as drivers really struggle to hit their marks on a very challenging pit road. So we're going to be watching that story and what we expect to see several green flag pit stops over the course of the evening, potentially for tires. And it could definitely play a factor. We've seen it, pit road entry, impact a couple drivers over the course of the season and cost even drivers like Aaron Smith the win. So as qualifying winds down, speaking of Aaron Smith, it's looking like he is going to be the pole sitter for tonight with Levi Cox to his outside. And that's going to lead us to the starting grid for race number 11 here at Darlington in the TNT series. Qualifying is getting ready to wrap up. Drivers making their final laps around the track. And Aaron Smith and Levi Cox is going to be your front row tonight. Chris, you think Levi Cox is going to get another win before the end of the season, or is Aaron Smith going to shut him out in the remaining 4 races?
I think he can definitely get a win, and I think it very well could come tonight. When I think about a Levi Cox type of a race, type of a racetrack, this is one that really comes to mind. I think that this might be a really good shot for him. I would say that maybe it's a little bit demoralizing here in qualifying, though, to see that Aaron Smith is a 1/10 of a second faster than him. Aaron Smith, 1/10 of a second faster than anybody else also. So, we'll have to see how it plays out, but I definitely think he's got a good shot.
We'll be keeping an eye on him for sure. And let's go ahead and talk about that starting grid for tonight's 150-lap race. First and second is going to be Aaron Smith with that pole. Levi Cox going to be starting second. A newcomer to the TNT series in that number 4 car starting in third position is going to be Noah Rainwater. We're going to be a lookout for him, Chris. He had some fast laps during practice, so keep an eye on that number 4 tonight. We'll see what he's all about. Fourth is going to be, as we mentioned earlier, Braxton DeWeese in that number 33, seeing if he can get a win, Chris. We've seen him win at Darlington in other series. Will tonight be similar? Fifth is going to be Justin Clapper in that 63, looking to get another top 5 for Clapper. Chase Leahy starting on the outside of row 3 in that 34 car. 79 of Anthony Burleson going to be starting 7th. He's had some momentum in the past several weeks. He'll look to continue that tonight, starting from 7th. Joshua Kerner is going to have to come from 8th position tonight in that number 14. See if he can work his way through the field. Ricky Mandela Sr., who had a lot of speed last week, going to be starting 9th in that number 28. Michael Benton, the guy comes and grinds it out. Maybe the toughest driver on the circuit, Chris, starting in the 10th position in that 29. And then 11th is going to be Blake Hickman, a newcomer, I believe, to the series. I'm not sure if he's going to grid it up or not. It looks like he's on the track in that number 12. We'll keep an eye on that newcomer as well tonight as drivers get ready to unleash the beast here at Darlington, cranking into first gear to get going here on the pace laps, waiting right now on the front stretch. This is going to be one of the toughest races of the season, Chris. I can't emphasize it enough. Focus is everything. Drivers are going to be hard-pressed to just stay locked in over these 150 laps and what is a very kind of difficult precision-based track. How much does the asymmetry of the different kind of degrees, banking, and angles of turns 1 and 2 versus turns 3 and 4, how much does that play with the mind of a driver over the course of the race?
It definitely plays with the mind of a driver. You just can't zone out here. Like, you go to some other ovals, like you go to Kansas, you go to, Atlanta, you go to Charlotte. No disrespect to those tracks. They are difficult in their own right. You can kind of maybe get lulled into the monotonous action there. You cannot do that here. You have got to be hyper aware of what end of the track that you're on, corner after corner, and The driver that is hyper aware tonight and is very, very cognizant of where he is on the track is probably going to be the driver that comes out on top, or at least comes out of here with a good result tonight.
Well, we'll be keeping an eye on all drivers. I have a feeling we are in for some great racing. In the chat, several fans chiming in. We're so glad to see people like Joshua Kerner. Bama's in here, former Slingshot racer. We're glad to see him back. Scott, Chris DeWeese is here as well. So glad to see these drivers. And Chris, look at we got a different paint scheme going on for Aaron Smith tonight here on the track. We'll hear more about that later on, but for now, pace car is getting ready to peel off down pit road. Is going to be Smith leading them to the green. Stack up on the green flag. The 63 into the back of the 4 who did not get going. That is going to stack the field up. We're still under green flag conditions. Most drivers are going to parry on through it. The 4 car on the front straightaway. That was rainwater and maybe a bit of a beginner's mistake, at least in terms of racing in the TNT series. It's going to allow Aaron Smith to get going very quickly here. About 8 car lengths down the front straightaway is what Smith's able to gain on Justin Clapper, who slides into second after that early collision with the back of the number 4 of Rainwater. It's going to be Levi Cox also on the inside of Clapper, seeing if he can get back to the second position after that first lap melee that almost sent us under caution. Side by side is that number 63 and the 1 of Cox and Clapper.
That's really hard to do through turns 1 and 2. I talked about low percentage passes before. It is super, super hard to run side-by-side through 1 and 2. Those guys, though, are pros, and they make it work as we get down here to 3 and 4, which is a little bit more easy to run side-by-side down through here.
Oh, the 63 loose off the corner. Clapper struggles with the handling early, and the 1 and the 33 are going to slide right by.
Yeah, they're going to slide right on by. We're going to go back right here, Ellis, to see if we can see what transpired here at the beginning of the race with the number 4 of Noah Rainwater. Looks like we might have missed it just a little bit there. Here we go. We're going to try to fast forward here just a little bit to get caught up, see what happened to Noah. There's Noah in that number 4, that Ricky Bobby special right there. You see, yeah, he got jacked up from the 63. I don't know if there was maybe some shenanigans going on right there, maybe a checkup, I'm not sure, but yeah, that's unfortunate for him as we got changed for the lead, Ellis.
Yeah, Aaron Smith gives up that lead position to Levi Cox, who took advantage of Smith opening up the bottom of the track, and Cox is the new leader. The 1 soars to the first position as we watch another battle underneath the 33 of Braxton DeWeese. Justin Clapper looks to go to the inside to gain one of those positions he lost back. Braxton DeWeese might have hit the wall there just a little bit. Some of the dangers of Darlington kind of jumping out at these drivers very early, Chris. Wow, we've seen a lot of action. I had a feeling we might be in for some intense opening laps, and that has come to fruition for sure.
Yeah, the number 12 right here of Blake Hickman, I'm not sure if he was caught up in that deal on the initial lap right here, but a lot of damage right here to that number 12. You hate to see that in his first start this season, I do believe, but yeah, we'll keep an eye on the 63 of Justin Clapper. I think he's the car that made contact with the 4 of Noah Rainwater. And see if that front bumper there, he's got a little bit of damage right there. See if it affects the handling. I don't think it is. I think he seems all right.
Yeah, looks like everyone has kind of gathered it back up after a scary start to this race for a lot of drivers. Watching the speed of that 63 going down into the corner. Chris, he's trying a bit of a different line, kind of diamonding the corner, kind of washing up, and then carrying that momentum off the exit of the corner. Is he going to set up Aaron Smith for the pass here? Looks like he's going to have to wait at least another lap. Yeah, one car in the wall.
It looks like that's the 12. He was sideways, and you see right there, this is a story that we're going to have to keep our eyes on all night tonight, Ellis. The apron here is so huge that if you were to spin down there, it might not draw a caution. And yeah, it looks like Blake Hickman just got in trouble there coming off turn 4. Got the thing sideways.
Yeah, so a couple drivers already struggling. A couple newcomers to the TNT Series in race number 11. Getting off with a difficult start, but they've gathered it back up to continue going. That includes Noah Rainwater and Blake Hickman. Glad they're okay. They continue on, Chris. But this first 4, set of first 4 cars, they're on top of each other right now. It's Cox, Smith, Clapper, and DeWeese. And really just not much could separate these drivers on the track right now. Levi Cox has been neck and neck with Aaron Aaron Smith all season long. They're first and second in points. Right now, Levi Cox would stand to gain a few points on Aaron Smith headed into the regular season finale at Phoenix. Aaron Smith's going to want the bragging rights, I think, of winning that regular season championship. So I doubt he's going to let it go too easily here. But are you surprised at all by the speed of Justin Clapper in that 63? We've seen him, throughout the season have moments of brilliance and speed, but we just haven't seen him necessarily, even recently, walk away with the finishes to necessarily show for that. He's got a 6th place average finish, but the last 2 weeks at Indianapolis, he wasn't there, but he had a 10th at Charlotte and a 10th at Talladega. So Clapper's showing some speed tonight early.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all to see the speed out of him. I think we've seen that all season. What I'm going to be keeping my eyes on is if he has the ability to stay, up there in that position that he's in right now, because I think that, he's been a very fast, short run driver all season long, but, being able to maintain that speed on the long run, that will be the question. And, we saw him really close up on Aaron Smith because he got back in the throttle a lot quicker in turns 3 and 4 a lap ago. That's that can be a way in which you kind of kill your tires here a lot quicker than anybody else, than your competitors. So definitely a story to keep our eye on all night tonight. If Justin's able to maintain the speed that he's got right now.
Yeah, he is harassing the back bumper of that number 70 of Aaron Smith right now. Really, as they get ready to pass the number 12 of Blake Hickman. This is going to make it difficult, Chris, for Aaron Smith headed down to the corner. Hickman into the wall right in front of the leaders. I think he tried to get out of the way, and that is difficult to do. He pulls it off the track in that number 12. He's sideways spinning around. Can he get it under control before we go under caution? The answer looks like it is going to be yes. I don't think he had any help there, just got into the wall trying to get out of the way, but that happened. Scary moment right in front of our leaders here on lap 12 of 150. Levi Cox leads the way. Aaron Smith and Justin Clapper third. Braxton DeWeese has settled into 4th position, not too far behind with Chase Leahy in that Pine golf car sitting back in the 5th position. Man, this has been an action-packed, I know I've said it a couple times, it's been an action-packed race so far. I'm impressed with these drivers' composure up at the front in the midst of all this. They've done a good job of staying out of trouble.
Yeah, they have. It's been very entertaining up here in the first few spots right here. And, you look at all the trouble right here that Blake Hickman has had here in the opening stages of this race. So that just shows you how hard this track is. I mean, it's just really, really difficult. Once we get a little bit of separation in the cars a little bit later on in this race, I would love to take a lap and just, sort of be able to talk the viewers through turns 1 and 2 and really how you got to approach that corner. I mean, both sets of corners are really unique, but 1 and 2 here I feel like is just, it's so special. It's so unique. It's almost like 2 sets of corners on one end of the track. And I know it's 2 corners, but it's like almost like 4 different corners in a way, the way that you got to approach it.
I don't think there's a corner in all of NASCAR that makes a driver feel more special if they can make it through that corner, consistently through a race. And with speed, I'm curious, Chris, talking about speed, can we ride on board Justin Clapper and look out that front windshield as he tries his darndest to make a pass on Aaron Smith here for the 2nd position? We'll just ride along for a moment, see what it's like on board in that number 63. Into the wall, Justin Clapper, a little bit of trouble. He's going to fall back into the clutches of Braxton DeWeese here. DeWeese working his way around the outside.
Oh, no.
Justin, commentators curse a little bit happened there, Chris.
Yeah, and we saw Justin Clapper lift right there. I was going to bring it up. Going side by side into turn 1 is so hard, Ellis. It is so difficult to run side by side through 1 and 2. That's a smart veteran move right there by Clapper to ease up off that throttle, get back in line right here, and know that, there's a lot of laps left in this thing.
Chris, we got some insider information in the chat. Maybe potentially what happened on that start of the race with Noah Rainwater in that 4-car blinked right before the green, just at the worst possible time, with a little bit of internet issues for that number 4. But he continues to work his way back up through the field. Chris, Ricky Mandela Sr. might have had a moment there. We'll go back and see if we can see what happened to that number 28. Might have gotten into the wall down in turn 1. Looks like he... Definitely. I'm just watching it back right now. On exit, looks like he had some issues.
Yeah, and he lost a spot right there to Noah Rainwater. Noah is coming to back up through the field right here. It's it's a shame that blink did occur on the opening stages of the race right here, because this 4-car's got some pretty good speed in it, I believe.
Yeah, he was one of the ones we looked at in practice thinking, oh, wow, we might have 3 or 4, 5 contenders tonight on speed.
Yeah, and if he does get a timely caution, he could find himself way right back in this thing. He doesn't have much damage. Got a little bit of damage on the nose of that thing, to the valence, and I think maybe a little bit of right side damage, but nothing too severe. You're going to see a lot of cars with some right side damage tonight, Ellis.
We'll be looking at a lot of torn up fenders by the end of the evening, most likely. Chris, 2024 was great. But Happy New Year, if I haven't officially told you yet. Happy New Year to every single person watching right now in the chat on YouTube. We are so glad you are here joining us. Let us know you are here. And even better, we've got a New Year's gift for everyone. Not for everyone. One person will win. But we're going to do some trivia tonight and give away a 1/64th scale diecast. Winner of the trivia will be sent that for absolutely free. Caution on the flag. We'll have to do it after the caution, Chris. That is the 29 of Michael Benton, bringing out the first caution of the evening. Maybe not. I'm not sure.
See. He was slow on the apron, so that might have been what drew like the red for us. Like the notification was that he was just... I don't see Michael having any trouble though. So this must have been somebody else.
Oh, you know what? That was that was a caution thrown by the race controller. He was going down the front straightaway, and I'm not sure what happened there.
Yeah, that's
to the number 12 or 29 of Michael Benton.
Oh, let's ride on board with the Ellis and just listen to the engine here. Yeah, that sounds like to me that he was either trying to upshift and had like a problem with his shifter, or he crossed the gate, maybe if he's got an H pattern, and accidentally put it down into second gear instead of going to fourth gear.
Well, it's going to bring drivers down pit road regardless for fresh tires. First time of the night, we're going to see drivers on pit road. It's going to be Cox, Smith, DeWeese, and Clapper in that order, coming to the attention of their pit crews. I would imagine we're in store for 4 fresh tires and a full tank of fuel. This is a big battle down pit road, Chris. One spot on pit road means a lot of difficulty on the track to get back by that driver you might have lost that spot to. So let's watch these pit stops, and let's keep an eye on that end of pit road painted line to see who's going to get out first. And just to be clear, it's not really under these drivers' control how fast the pit stop is. What they can control is how quickly they get in and how precisely they stop in their spots. Levi Cox looks like he might have beaten the one of Aaron Smith off of pit road there, Chris. I believe that went to the 1. The 70 is going to be second. Braxton DeWeese is going to be third. And Chase Leahy, Chris, Justin Clapper looks like he might have had some major issues on pit road. That 63 is still sitting in his stall. So the guy who came down fourth is going to lose at least a couple of positions. He's been on pit road now for a minute. See if we can figure out what happened to that 63.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we'll be able to go back and see it.
You know what? That might have been from the opening issue. He was the one who got into the back of the 4. So that is the 63. This is really probably a lucky break, Chris, for that number 63 to be able to repair the damage inflicted on the front end of that car in that opening lap melee between him and the number 4 of Noah Rainwater.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the span of all that, I'm not sure. I'm a little bit confused right here while we got a couple drivers that are out in front of... Okay, so it looks like now they're passing the pace car.
Yep.
And it looks like Michael Benton's
going to come down pit road. Rainwater is going to take the wave around here, it looks like.
Yeah, that's the wrong pit road there, but maybe he was just pulling off to get out of the way. But hey,
looks like he's going to tow it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to tow it to pit road. So yeah, some of those drivers are going to get a lap back right here, and yeah, we'll keep an eye on their pace right here because they're probably going to be hurting for some grip here.
And they're coming to the green flag, and Noah Rainwater stopped on the middle of the track in front of them. I don't know if he got kind of a false wave around, but he's going to wait for the field to pass. I'm very confused, Chris, about what is happening here because the race controller is going to wave off the green flag. Not sure what is going on with that 4 car out in front right now, but we're going to try to figure this out. Did the 4 come down pit road? He doesn't look like he did. He's credited with that 1 stop earlier in the race, but he would have been a lap down.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody got I don't think they ever extended the caution before that. Sometimes if you add a lap to the caution, it will kind of mess things up like this, or like if you delay it with the field trying to catch back up or something like that. But I don't think that ever happened here. So, man, iRacing, we've been having some little issues like this lately. Just some of these little bugs with the field and the wave rounds lately. So.
And it looks like Rainwater's been given an EOL to put him at the back of the lineup here on this upcoming restart, what we believe will be an upcoming restart. And
he's got to hustle to get back around here. Oh no!
He's parked it. He's parked it, waiting for the rest of the field to go around. It looks like he's going to line up. Yeah, that will officially put him a lap down. Pace car peels off. It's going to be Levi Cox, the control car on this restart. Aaron Smith will be second. They're about to see that green for the second time this evening on lap number 25 of 150. We are 1/6 of the way through this race. It's a clean start, much more than we can say for that first start of the night. Cox gets away cleanly. Aaron Smith is in second. Braxton DeWeese is in third. But, Chris, caution has once again flown.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on because I don't think the caution's out, is it? I don't see caution lights.
Caution is on the speedway. I've got a yellow flag showing up on my end.
Maybe it's just how quickly it happened because it's not showing it. There it goes. It waved on the ticker finally. Maybe our ticker was just a little bit behind there. So, yeah, not sure what the caution's for. Maybe they just want to get this straightened out.
I think they want to give the number 4 his lap back as he looked to be credited or want to be credited with a wave around that time by. He's going to have to hustle it to get back up to the field. I think they're going to slow it down a little bit to let him catch. So early trouble with some of the race pace here, Chris. We've seen some fast races this season, and tonight off to a bit of a slow start amidst a couple of crashes and a couple of lineup issues in race number 11, but they're going to stop him on the front straightaway, it looks like, as they attempt to let the 4 close the gap.
They're also waiting for the pace car because I think that because of when it flew, they had to wait for the pace car. So here comes the 4. He's joining back up. Please don't run into you. He's not going to. He's going to get it woed up, and we're on the 1 to go now, it looks like.
Well, we're on the 1 to go, but we'll go ahead and give the trivia question for fans to think about while we're waiting for that Aaron Smith pacing the field. We're going to do 4 trivia questions tonight. First 2 correct answers in the chat will get the points. So 2 points available for each of the questions. The chatter or the viewer with the most trivia points at the end of the night is going to win a 1/64th scale diecast. We'll send it to them at the end of the race tonight. Here's your first question, and these are all New Year 2025 related questions. First question: what anniversary is the World Wide Web celebrating in 2025? What year anniversary is the World Wide Web celebrating in 2025? What year anniversary is it celebrating? We'll come back to that after the restart in the first couple of laps of green flag action. We're going to try it again, folks. Levi Cox and Aaron Smith bring them down the front straightaway as they exit turn number 4, looking for that green flag. Levi Cox will enter the restart zone, and he hits the throttle halfway through. We're back under green flag conditions. Cox gets away cleanly, but it's a battle between Smith and DeWeese. DeWeese, that blue car on the inside. Smith's going to let him go cleanly out, down into turns 1 and 2. It's about 2 car lengths between the top 6 cars, all lined up nose to tail here. Braxton DeWeese gets a great run off the corner. Unfortunately, can't try to make that pass into turn 3, Chris. He's going to have to be patient. That is a veteran move right there. Braxton DeWeese showing the skill and the patience early on. Instead of forcing the issue, he lifted on that throttle.
Yeah, he did. That was very wise right there. Seeing a lot of really good moves right here on this restart. Drivers that are not pushing the issue. Oh, as he's in the wall right here.
In the wall.
Yeah, and that's easy to do, especially on these new tires right here. You're used to all these laps that you've had on these, slightly worn tires, and here at Darlington, it just drives so different when you get the new tires on the cars. So, kind of got to retrain your brain a little bit here in the first few laps.
Yeah, your brain, we've been talking about it, Chris, all night. The brain really has to be active over the course of the entire night at Darlington. These drivers aren't going to have a moment to really rest between the asymmetry of the two ends of the track, between tires coming on and off the car. Levi Cox, however, right now is making it look easy, Chris. He's jumped out to about a half a second lead on Braxton DeWeese, who's looking to regroup after getting into the wall a lap or two ago, trying to pick up some of that ground he lost. Aaron Smith, however, has fallen back to 3rd position, with Chase Leahy climbing his way all the way up to 4th after starting 6th tonight. So your top 5 as they run: Cox, DeWeese, Smith, Leahy, and Burleson. We're on lap number 31. Drivers struggling with handling early on, but these new tires, once they get it broken in, should improve that anxiety a little bit on the majority of these drivers as they battle through the corners here at Darlington. Joshua Kerner, Chris, let's talk about that 6th place runner right now. Kerner, in that number 14, has done a great job really just picking up momentum over the course of the season. In the last 3 races, he's registered 2 top 5s, including one last week at Indianapolis, and what's one of the more difficult tracks on the schedule this season. Joshua Kerner goes out there, gets it done every single week in what is becoming a familiar-looking paint scheme. I think Joe Gibbs might want to add some, would you consider that teal? Is that a teal color? Maybe on the real-life Bass Pro Shops car. But that's a good-looking car. I like that. That blue contrasts nice with everything else on the car. But Josh is doing a great job out there right now. Chris DeWeese in the chat, hey, he'll vouch for us. He got his diecast last week. We appreciate Chris and all the Braxton DeWeese fanboys showing up every single week. We're glad to have y'all in here in the chat. Lively it up a little bit. Hey, one last chance. What year anniversary coming up on this year in 2025 for the internet, the World Wide Web? We've already got a couple of guesses in the chat. We'll record the points and the answer here momentarily. Give it another couple of laps, and we'll check in with the answer for trivia question number 1 tonight. Watching Braxton DeWeese, Chris, he's slowly climbing back up to the front. He's gained about 0.2 of a second in the past 3 laps. So Braxton is running very consistent laps here that are consistently faster than Levi Cox. How difficult is it not to push yourself early on in this run?
It is so difficult. It's very hard. I'd say it's more of a challenge here than it is at just about any other track because, you feel like you're just creeping along here at times. You're just tiptoeing. One thing I noticed that Braxton's doing, and I think it's very wise, I think we see Levi Cox and Aaron Smith doing it as well. I think these guys have figured out over the last few years that wrapping that inside line down in 3 and 4, that might not be the notorious line, like the line that you see the Cup Series drivers doing down in 3 and 4, because you see a lot of drivers get up there on the wall in 3 and 4, like they do here in 1 and 2. But in 3 and 4, I think you save a little bit more tire down there, getting that left front down just on that white dash line that sort of separates the racing surface from this ginormous apron here.
Hey, that's a good tip for me as we get ready to race at Darlington in our upcoming season with Spark Racing League, Chris. That's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to Darlington. It's one of my favorite tracks. I don't know if it's up on the list for you, but definitely one of my favorites to go out there and have a little bit of fun at once every season. So Connor Lyons in the chat saying happy 2025. It's our first live stream of 2025. Absolutely correct. We couldn't be more glad to share it with you, Connor, and everyone else in the chat watching at home on YouTube right now. Hey, speaking of YouTube chat, trivia answer. What year anniversary are we coming up on this year for the World Wide Web and the Internet? 40-year anniversary. Connor is the only contestant to get the question right. Chris DeWeese said 30 years. That was a good guess, but 40-year anniversary.
Hang on one second now. Al Gore was not the vice president 30 years ago. Or, I'm sorry, 40 years ago. He was vice president 30 years ago.
Oh, and you're saying he invented the internet? Yeah? It's a respectable guess, but yeah, good try. Good try. 40 years is the correct answer. Good job, Connor. We'll put you down for a point. Chris, don't worry. There's many more questions to come. 3 more, in fact, over the course of the evening. Stay tuned. And, hey, if you haven't joined in, if you didn't play that first round, you still got 3 chances to get some points on the board and win a free 1/64th scale diecast. Chris, right now we are officially approaching the 1/3 way through this race. Lap 39 of 150. We've been green for the last 10 laps or so. I think it's a good opportunity as we get some separation up at the front to maybe step away and hear from some of our partners in the TNT series and Slingshot Racing Media. We'll be back on the other end of this short break.
Hey partner, I'm Barry, your pocket crew chief, the very first AI-powered mechanic for sim racing. Got a car that's a little loose or tight? Just tell me how it's handling, and I'll whip up instant setup recommendations just for you. Want me to get even more precise? Snap a picture of your setup, and I'll fine-tune it to perfection. And hey, I'm not just about giving orders. I'll explain why every adjustment matters, so you can really understand your ride. I'll even teach you the science behind the setup. Ever wondered why the track bar is so important? I've got the answer. With Pocket Crew Chief, I'll make you smarter, faster, and race ready. So what are we waiting for? Let's build to win.
All right, back here from Darlington for the TNT Series, race number 11 of 15. One race before the cutoff for the playoffs begin. Levi Cox is scored as your leader. However, Braxton DeWeese really fastly closing as they deal with the lap car of Blake Hickman, who gets on the wall right in front of points leader Aaron Smith. Tense moment there for the leaders as we come back from break. Levi Cox is going to have to do hard work to hold on to lead as looks like Braxton DeWeese wrapping that outside line. Is he going to get in the wall? Very close. Looks like Levi Cox had to lift off the throttle to not come up into the 33 of Braxton DeWeese. Deweese says thank you, and he lifts off the throttle headed down into one rather than making it side by side and putting both drivers in danger. Braxton Deweese again shows discretion. However, he's going to set up the pass. Look at the block that Levi Cox makes to the inside. He says, look, I'll give you the outside if you want to do it, but I'm not giving up that inside. As we mentioned, Chris, that inside line at Darlington in turns 3 and 4 particularly so important. But Braxton Deweese says, I don't know how important it is as he gasses it up on the outside. We're going to have two cars side by side. You mentioned it, down into one. Can they make it stick? Aaron Smith watches with his mouth agape from behind, waiting for an incident between the two. Smith, three wide down into turn number 3. Can Smith take advantage of the battle for the lead? He gets loose. Is he going to slide up into Levi Cox? Wow. How about that for action here on lap number 47 of 150, Chris?
Yeah, I thought these guys were supposed to be riding. You know, it's Darlington. Oh, it's Deweese tagged the wall right there. He's in the wall again.
Chris, you mentioned it. It's hard to get out of the wall once you get into it here at Darlington.
It is, yeah. It's almost like you get stuck in the, in there, like the safer barrier is just a magnet. But, yeah, he gets it off of it, and I don't think there's really any damage to the 33. It just kind of slowed his momentum down, cost him a spot to Aaron Smith right there. But that was wild, Ellis. You don't see too many people make it 3 wide around Darlington, maybe unless they're passing lap cars.
Yeah, that was a gutsy call indeed by Aaron Smith, and that was all kind of coming on the tail end of the leaders working their way by the lap down car of Blake Hickman, who's now 13 laps down in that number 12 after some issues at the beginning stage of this race. Levi Cox is your leader, Aaron Smith second, Braxton Deweese third, Chase Leahy fourth, and Chris, let's not jinx it now, but Noah Rainwater, involved in that very first incident of the night in the 4, has climbed his way back up to the 5th position and is running some of the fastest times on the track. That 4 car is going to be no slouch, and Cox, Smith, Deweese, and Leahy might have to worry about Rainwater before the end of the race happens.
Yeah, he's got that Ricky Bobby special up here in the top 5, and yeah, it's looking pretty good right here. If he can get some track position, I think that he'll probably hope for maybe one more caution to be able to, catch up a little bit more. But, yeah, I mean, that's a great recovery out of Noah Rainwater.
Yeah, and look, speaking of recoveries, one driver who's really struggling to make that recovery right now, Justin Clapper, Chris, we mentioned it. He was fast at the beginning portion of the race. He had a lot of damage, and he came down pit road under that first yellow flag stop, and he, lost all those spots with a lengthy pit stop for repairs, but he just hasn't had that same speed since we've gone back green flag racing. So I'm not sure if he had some other trouble. It looks like that right front is pretty crumpled in. He might have had some other issues that we just missed earlier on.
Yeah, and I saw Mike Benton in the chat say that when he gassed it up to speed, it spun out. So it wasn't an issue of downshifting by accident. And I think that he made contact. We might have missed that. Made some contact with Justin Clapper when that caution came out, and maybe that has caused the damage to that 63. So pretty unfortunate turn of events for both those drivers.
Yeah, and speaking of turn of events, right now, Aaron Smith and Braxton Deweese have closed back up into the frame, Chris, for the battle for first position. The lead is now down to just about 0.3 of a second, or about 5 car lengths if you're counting them on the track that way. Aaron Smith running some fast laps, Chris, about 1.5 tenths faster every single lap around the track than Levi Cox, who is his championship rival this season in the TNT Series. These guys, man, they've been at it all season long. They've been great competitors against each other, raced each other incredibly cleanly on the track. You would never know that they were fighting for a championship based on the way they've been racing each other. Just both gentlemanly-like racers as we watch Aaron Smith lose a little bit of ground. Maybe Braxton Deweese getting that thing wound up again after getting the wall earlier.
Yeah, they've done a great job. It's been such a pleasure to watch them all season long. Insert Braxton Deweese into this battle as well with these two right here. And, man, it has been just really, really clean racing. And, coming down to the end of this thing, I know that Aaron definitely has the race wins. He has the wins on Levi, but I wouldn't be a bit surprised at all to see Levi take the fight to him for this title in the final close. And I think that if you asked Aaron, he would say the same thing.
Yeah, I think it is going to be an interesting title fight. I think you might have Braxton DeWeese play a role, not necessarily in vying for the championship, as he just came in about 4 races ago, made quite a statement since that initial race, but leaders coming up on Justin Clapper right now, who we had mentioned having a lot of speed earlier, but got caught up in that 2 early incidents with Michael Benton and the number 4 of Noah Rainwater. Not going to be happy to see those leaders going by him on the inside, but hopefully he can salvage a decent finish out of this race, sitting 8th position right now. Struggling to, at least the 70 of Aaron Smith is struggling to get by Justin Clapper there for a moment. Justin's one of those guys, if he's got speed, he will race the devil out of you. We've seen that all season long. He is a racer through and through, Chris, and, it's a shame what happened, but we're glad to see him continuing to go out there. Determination does mean a lot, and just logging laps, can't speak highly enough about the guys who continue to log laps even though they're not running up front. This league has a lot of drivers who are gritty. That is something we can say about every single driver in the field. Michael Benton gets into the wall once. 12, but Blake Hickman gets in the wall once again there.
Yeah, I think that Blake is he's trying to not be a factor. He's trying to stay out of the way of the guys who are coming up on him right here, and it's hard to do here, man. It's just hard to get out of the way at this track.
It is, and Noah Rainwater sees Chase Leahy getting out of the way. Leahy went high. They're going to work their way by the 12 of Blake Hickman. Does Leahy maybe take advantage of that mistake by Noah Rainwater going by Blake Hickman on the inside there? Looks like Leahy's going to lift off the throttle a little bit, not force the issue. But that moves Rainwater up to the 4th position, Chris. He's running laps that are comparable with the leaders in the past several laps. In that number 4, you can see some front-end damage on that car from earlier in the evening. Much of it has been repaired, but he continues to show speed despite that damage. The number 12, Chris, in the wall again. Not sure if that 12 car has anything left in it. I think race control might want to take a look at that, as maybe want to try to avoid any sort of damage for mechanical failure on that number 12.
Right front is towed out significantly, so I think he's going to have a hard time. He's been having a hard time with his pace all night, and I think that after that contact right there, I think he might have an even more difficult time. If he was seeing what we were seeing, I think he would come to pit road.
These cars are hard to drive, man, and that there is something to be said for, you can't really see your right front from the cockpit's perspective of these cars. Obviously, we've got the luxury of dozens of cameras from Whiplash sim cams that we can see those great angles from, but you can see that thing crab walking down the front straightaway just a little bit, and that is not what you want to see from a race car here. Certainly 61 laps in to this 150 lap showdown at Darlington. Cox is your leader, Smith second, Deweese third, Noah Rainwater now in 4th, and Chase Leahy rounds out the top 5. Chris, can we focus in on that 34 for just a moment? There's something about a green race car. There's something about this green race car that I have to say this is one of my favorite paint schemes, if not what I think has been the best one out on the track all season. This Pine Golf number 34 with that metallic finish under the lights here. Woo!
Yeah, that's everything looking good, and I don't know if you're seeing it on your end or if it's just on my end, Ellis, but it's got a little bit of a Christmas theme going on too.
Yeah.
On mine. Oh, as he blinks out. Oh, there he's back. Yeah, gives us a really good shot of the side of that car, and yeah, he's definitely been representing that thing really well here, and he's got that thing up here in the top 5, Ellis, and of course he's got the Star Wars helmet to just cap it all off.
Every little detail counts, right?
Yeah.
Details are important. The devil's in the details, as they say. Hey, one other detail, Connor Lyons mentioned, I don't know if this was intentional for Chase or not, but that's kind of got a Harry Gant throwback look to it in that number 34. Back to the 80s, and did Gant race into the 90s, Chris?
He did, and that in the 90s, that's when he won. He went on that stretch of 4 in a row. It was maybe like 93, 94, something like that.
And was it in October?
It was, or it was in either September or October, and he was really old. Like, he was over 50 years old when he did it, too.
You just don't see that really in NASCAR anymore. Get one of those last drivers to race, into their 50s. Yeah, you never know. Denny Hamlin might try it. We'll see.
But let's be honest. I said he was really old. That's not really old. I'm just
I'm a little. There are probably a lot of people in the chat.
I
We
didn't
just
mean it like
defended.
that. I just meant for a NASCAR driver. He was on up there.
And, hey, Chase having a good run. He's on up there right now in the 5th position. Got Joshua Kerner back behind him. Tony Burleson in that number 79 back in the 7th position. Burleson's he's a quiet driver out on the track. Doesn't cause me problems. Consistently up in the top 10 every single week.
And Ellis, we got a battle for the lead right here. Got a battle for the lead right here. Oh, Aaron Smith tags the wall. Both of them tag the wall. Levi Cox also in the wall right there off of turn 4. These cars are starting to not handle so good here at this stage of the run. And Aaron Smith really closed up here I didn't mean to interrupt, really closed up in the last lap. And
oh boy, the number 1 makes that move again to block, and Smith gets into the wall once again, going to try to go around on the outside. Chris, you mentioned it. They're starting to feel that tire wear. 44 laps into this fuel run. We believe we can get about 70 laps or so. Already watching Anthony Burleson come down pit road here from the 7th position. I think drivers are starting to feel the tire wear creeping in just a little bit. Cars a little bit more slidey on the track. Maybe picking up a few more Darlington stripes as this run goes along. It's about 1 car length that separates Aaron Smith and that black number 70. A new look for him this week, not that classic yellow scheme we're used to seeing. He's about 2 car lengths back from Levi Cox. You mentioned it, Chris, a lap ago. Both drivers sent it off into the wall. Talk to us about how easy it is to follow the driver in front of you into the wall. It's kind of a thing. There's a scientific explanation, I'm sure, but it happens to me frequently when the driver in front of me goes into the wall. Somehow I do the same thing.
Yeah, and I think that the geometry of this track also has something to do with it. A lot of tracks, this is almost, I know it's not a pure oval, but there's no kinks in the front stretch at all, like you see at a lot of the other ovals that we go to. I think about Homestead, and I think about, I know Bristol's a short track, but there's something to be said, I think, for these tracks that have these straight front stretches. It's really hard to see around a vehicle, like how close you are to the wall because of that, because of the sight lines or the lack of sight, at that track. So, yeah, I think it is very easy to follow a driver into the wall, just by mistake. And something about it here also, the car kind of feels a little bit light on the straightaway, and it's just... it's just very easy to do.
Yeah, we've all been there, and the front 2 have been there just a couple laps ago, and it probably happened before the end of this race once again. Hey, Chris DeWeese in the chat says he met Harry Gant. Coming back to our Harry Gant story from earlier, met Harry Gant at Bristol and Indy in 1995. He says he was a great guy, very fan-friendly. Signed his black and white shark tooth Earnhardt hat and said he was very honored to sign that hat. Boy, that is a classy driver when they sign the hat of another driver that you root for. So, yeah, kind of living up to what we imagine Harry Gant, one of the last gentleman racers. When did we meet Harry Gant?
We met Harry Gant at Atlanta in the early 2000s. We
did.
Yeah, he was there. He was signing autographs there, and gosh, we were in probably middle school when we were there, and yeah, he was signing autographs.
Taking some memory pills, apparently. Do you remember what we got autographed? Did I take my shirt off?
I think that maybe we gave him our shirt, something like that. But yeah, he signed something for us, and I remember when we left the hauler thinking, there's no way that guy is the age that he is. And that's what people always say about Harry Gant, is that he looks a lot younger than his age actually is.
Hey, absolutely. You're only as old as you feel, right? Yep, we're just trying to assuage the anger of all the 50-year-old plus people that you offended earlier.
Yeah, sorry, sorry to everybody.
Hey, let's give away a free trivia point, not even for a trivia question. We got another one of those coming up shortly, but hey, all you got to do is type your answer to this question in the chat. Oh, Chris says he was 22 years old in 1995. He's giving away his age. He's trying to really rub it in now. You're very gracious, Chris. You're a good sport. We appreciate it. I'm going to give away a trivia point now to any person in the chat who tells us what's the weirdest thing you've ever gotten autographed before. What's the strangest thing you've ever gotten autographed before? Let us know your best answers in the chat. We'll get a free trivia point to every single person who gets their answer in. Let's do it. See what you got. See your best answers right now. Levi Cox is giving his best out front in the number 1 position for that number 1 driver, Cox. Aaron Smith second. Braxton DeWeese back to third. About 8 to 9 car lengths separate each of the top 3. Noah Rainwater remains in the 4th position, albeit running fast laps equal to the leader of Levi Cox. That for Chris, he is closing. The Jaws music is slowly being cued. Joshua Kerner in the 5th position right now. Anthony Burleson in 6th. Chase Leahy in 7th. And Justin Clapper continues to run in the 8th position after a very fast beginning to his race. Chris, what's the strangest thing you've had autographed before?
The strange, I got to be completely honest. I'm not big on autographs. I think that maybe we've had this discussion. I can't remember if we have or not, but I've never really been big on autographs. It's just something about, if you go to an autograph session, that's one thing, but just seeing a driver walking like through the garage or, walking to his car or something, I've always been like, I'm not going to do that. That's just not me. I remember
you like to give people their space.
Yeah, I like to give people their space, but I guess I got Harry Gant to sign my shirt once. I think I got Jeff Green to sign that exact same shirt because I think that we also met him down in Atlanta also.
You did. I got him to sign a hat, and then I lost it on a roller coaster at Six Flags.
I remember that. And also, I think I got Benny Parsons to also sign that shirt when Benny Parsons came to my hometown for an autograph session. So I got this one shirt, I have no idea where it is, where I've had Benny Parsons, Harry Gant, and Jeff Green autograph it.
Man.
What about you?
What? I think that, I'm trying to think, I feel like I've got some cars autographed before. I got that hat autographed, and weirdly enough, it was a Dodge cap, and Jeff Green didn't even drive a Dodge, so I don't know. I feel like nowadays, the sponsors are so picky, and the manufacturers are so kind of strict. They wouldn't even let drivers sign caps that are like different manufacturers. But what happened to driver appearances back in the day? They just don't do those anymore like they used to. You could find a driver at whatever grocery store you shopped at if that was a sponsor, but it doesn't seem like they do that anymore. But I know NASCAR is working on fan engagement for next season. Drivers are going to start to get paid, right, to interact more with the fans and kind of put themselves out there a little bit more. So hopefully that would be a positive change, maybe getting back to what we used to have in the early 2000s and even before. So speaking of years, it is 2025. We wish everyone watching in the YouTube chat a happy new year, whether you're in the chat or you're just watching at home on YouTube. We hope it has started off in a great way. And if you enjoy what you're seeing and enjoy the racing action here at Slingshot Racing Media, go ahead and make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. It doesn't cost you a thing, and it helps us immensely. Hey, we're even willing to give you a little something or give you a chance to get something for it. We're doing a Dale Earnhardt Jr. 1/64th scale diecast autographed giveaway for our subscribers. All you have to do is enter to win it. Whether you're subscribed or not, you can click the link pinned in the chat or in the video description and bring home that diecast once we do the random drawing at the end of the season later on this month. Let's do a trivia question before we get to pit stops. I'd imagine we're getting close. I think we already saw Noah Rainwater. Chris, extended pit stop maybe for Rainwater coming down pit road here. Running fourth, he gave it up to Joshua Kerner just a moment ago. Looks like he's spending a few extra seconds in that pit stop. No, he's good.
And we did see a change for the second spot. Braxton DeWeese, I think that Aaron Smith let Braxton go because I think he saw the writing on the wall that 33 is a little bit faster than the 70 is right now. And just looking at the speeds last time by, we looked at him the lap before. Oh, Aaron's in the wall and he's in trouble.
Smith into the wall, the 70. Can he keep it off the wall? Looks like we're going to be under caution. Smith clips the inside wall. Big moment here for the championship leader, Aaron Smith. Looks like he had to come contact with Justin Clapper. We're going to have to return to the scene of the crime to see what exactly happened here.
Yeah, the lap car of Justin Clapper, I'm not sure. Oh, he's coming up on him on fresh tires. And, yeah, you got to be patient here. And, yeah, he got into him once, and he tagged the wall. And, yeah, that's another thing here is, the closing speed. Old tires versus new tires. You can really, really get yourself in trouble here. If you're coming up on a driver who is, on older tires. And that looks like what happened there.
Contact between. Oh yeah, Aaron Smith looks like that. The right rear maybe got some damage, and then the left side when he came back down towards the inside wall got some damage. But it's going to put us under caution for the third time this evening. Levi Cox is still scored as your leader. Braxton DeWeese second. Aaron Smith third, not losing any positions on that. I would imagine we're getting ready to see the entire field come down pit road, and that is correct. Cox, DeWeese, and Smith, along with Kerner and Rainwater, are going to come down pit road. Chase Leahy is going to join them as well. The top 7 make their way down for their second pit stop of the evening.
Yeah, and expect to see an extended pit stop right here from Aaron Smith. I have to bet that he'll probably stay in the stall as long as he can to try to get as much damage fixed on that number 70 as he possibly can. Levi Cox looks like he's going to win the race off of pit road.
Cox is going to come out first. DeWeese is going to be second. Aaron Smith just waiting to get that damage from that lap number 84 incident repaired by his pit crew. He's going to let Chase Leahy go by as well for the 4th position here.
Yeah, he's
a couple other cars coming down pit road. Looks like Burleson's going to beat Smith off, and I think Smith, like you said, is just going to wait to have full repairs done as some pretty substantial damage on that right side.
Yeah, we'll go back right here and we're actually going to watch from the perspective of Justin Clapper right here just to show you just how quickly he was closing up on Aaron Smith. So here's Aaron right here in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Justin Clapper right here in the 63. And I think that we went maybe one lap too far, so we'll get... in fact, I couldn't get it slowed up in time. So, yeah, watch how... this is on the front stretch right here going into turn 1. And Aaron didn't have trouble or anything. It's just, old tires versus new tires here. And Justin was out of the gas trying to give him some time, but... Man, that just shows you, even out of the gas, how much slower you're going when you're on old tires versus a guy on new tires.
It can be really difficult, especially when Aaron maybe had to make a slight correction on the exit. That is kind of what sealed the deal there for those two coming together here on lap 84. Now lap 86, pace car lining them up for a restart. It's going to be Cox, DeWeese. Smith recovers, Chris, to 3rd position. Joshua Kerner, I'm not sure if my lineup is correct here at this moment. Pace car is going to be peeling off, though, regardless. Levi Cox is the control car on this restart. Once he hits that blue Geico restart zone, he can start the race once again and send the rest of the drivers off. He goes early in that restart zone. Cox jumps out to a lead. DeWeese looking like he's going to try to close the door on Smith for 2nd place as they soar down into turn 1 here for the first time after this restart on lap 87. It's Cox, DeWeese, Smith, Kerner in 4th position. Now that is, looks like Chase Leahy, who's gone down 3 laps. Let's see. DeWeese might have something here for Levi Cox on the restart. We've seen DeWeese kind of like a yo-yo, Chris, much of this race. Lose a little bit on the leader, pick up a little bit on the leader. Lose a little bit on the leader, pick up a little bit on the leader. And has been pretty consistent in terms of speed and being able to stay up in the top 3 most of the night. We've seen him grab the wall a couple of times, but it looks like he's been able to continue on with no trouble. Levi Cox hasn't put a foot wrong here so far over the course of these 88 laps. Looks like Chase Leahy, albeit a couple of laps down here, is giving Aaron Smith a run for his money on that pass. Aaron Smith trying to claw his way back up to the front, Chris. I think this is going to be a good indicator, a barometer for how that 70 car, the championship leader, is handling. Any observations in the first 3 laps after this restart?
It's hard to say, if Aaron's just maybe feeling it out. He is definitely losing ground to DeWeese and Cox ahead, so I would say it's probably a safe bet that he has lost a little bit of, speed in that 70. But it definitely could be worse. I'm struggling, Ellis, to figure out what's happened to Noah Rainwater and Chase Leahy.
Yeah, I think Rainwater might have.
Did they come to pit road right before the caution?
Yeah, I think the caution caught a couple of those guys out that had just come into the pit stops, and that is what kind of put Noah Rainwater a lap down. It's what put Burleson another lap down. Kerner pit a little bit too early, I believe, and got a black flag. He missed the pits, and he got a black flag. So that's what put him 2 laps down. And then I'm not sure what happened to Chase Leahy in that number 34. He had a good top 5 run going earlier. I'm not sure what happened to Chase. I'm just looking back through the session events to see if I can find anything for Chase Leahy, and I just don't really.
Why you do that, Ellis?
See anything?
Yeah, Levi Cox and Braxton DeWeese have kind of gotten away from the rest of the field right here. And if you are Braxton DeWeese, I think that what we saw right there on that previous run, if you can just keep that one car in sight, I think that DeWeese has got maybe the speed on the long run to maybe contend with Levi Cox. I don't think he needs to go up there necessarily and try to race him and try to grab the lead now, but if he can just maintain, eyesight right there on that number 1 Chevy, it'll probably be feeling pretty good about, where he might be standing at the end of this run here if we do go green to the end.
Yeah, that's a trend I've noticed as well, that 33 really creeping into the picture later on as the run kind of, progresses. So, speaking of progression, we're in 2025. Connor Lyons wants a crank it up, Chris. I want to do it, but I want to take a quick commercial break before we do it just to build the anticipation for Connor just a little bit. So we're going to take one more break before this race is over, and then we'll come back for a crank it up just for Connor and everyone watching at home on the YouTube chat. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hey partner, I'm Barry, your pocket crew chief, the very first AI-powered mechanic for sim racing. Got a car that's a little loose or tight? Just tell me how it's handling, and I'll whip up instant setup recommendations just for you. Want me to get even more precise? Snap a picture of your setup, and I'll fine-tune it to perfection. And hey, I'm not just about giving orders. I'll explain why every adjustment matters, so you can really understand your ride. I'll even teach you the science behind the setup. Ever wondered why the track bar is so important? I've got the answer. With Pocket Crew Chief, I'll make you smarter, faster, and race ready. So what are we waiting for? Let's build to win.
All right, back here live in race number 11 for the TNT series from Darlington Raceway. Ellis and Chris in the Slingshot Racing Media booth. Thank you for joining us tonight on YouTube. Lap 97 of 150 in the books. Your top 5 are Levi Cox, Braxton DeWeese. Aaron Smith, the points leader, is in 3rd. Noah Rainwater, newcomer to the series, in 4th. And Anthony Burleson in the 79 is in 5th position. Chris, right now the conversation we were having during the commercial break was that Levi Cox was still looking like he was maintaining some pretty fast laps. In fact, he's ratcheted up over the past couple of laps as Braxton DeWeese was starting to close just a little bit. Cox might have looked at his rearview mirror and saw that blue 33 getting a little bit bigger and started putting a little more pressure on that throttle to get back out in front comfortably of Braxton DeWeese. Those are your top 2 right now. Aaron Smith is in 3rd, and as promised, Connor Lyons and everyone else in the YouTube chat, we're going to step away and we're just going to listen to the sight and sounds of Darlington Raceway from our crank it up cam from Whiplash Sim Cams. Just enjoy the ambiance. All right. Hope you enjoyed the ambiance and the sights and sounds around Darlington Raceway for race number 11 of the TNT series. I'm going to crank it up from Whiplash Sim Cams. Hey, we're using Whiplash Sim Cams tonight. If you like what you see, if you want some of these camera angles for maybe your own personal screenshot use or replay use, you can check them out using the link in our video description. We're incredibly grateful for them providing those cameras every single week, and I know it makes your job easier, Chris, having more tools in the arsenal to do a great job with the production as always. Levi Cox is running first, Braxton DeWeese second, Aaron Smith third. Chris, the driver that is maybe not making as much noise as I thought we would see here, Noah Rainwater, he was one of those cars that got caught a lap down before that last caution, or right as that last caution came out. So keep an eye. He could be dangerous if we get another caution and he's the lucky dog, but right now he's sitting in fourth. It is really a three-car fight for the lead, and it's really held station. Braxton DeWeese over the past couple of laps has lost a little bit more speed, Chris. We talked about thinking that Levi Cox might be the car that lost a little bit of speed over the long run, but right now he's stretching it out over Braxton DeWeese and Aaron Smith, who really seems to be the biggest rock dropping in terms of time to Levi Cox. Looks like Aaron Smith is about 5/10 slower right now than Levi Cox. So I think we can answer that question about damage potentially on that number 70, points leader Aaron Smith, impacting his speed right now.
Yeah, I definitely think the damage has hurt Aaron Smith's car, hurt the speed for sure. Yeah, very unfortunate for him, but yeah, there's going to be plenty of other opportunities going forward for him. Braxton DeWeese, I've been watching his lap times, Ellis, and you're right. He is losing some ground. The lap before, he lost about 0.3 of a second. And what I noticed this past lap right here, he didn't lose as much because I think Levi Cox is, I think he's noticing Braxton's game plan here. I think that Braxton is really anticipating this thing going green to the end. And I think that's a fair bet because of just, the way the race feels, the vibe of the race, We got several cars that are now out, several that are a lap down. I think that's a good bet that maybe this thing can go green to the end. And I think that Braxton is trying to save himself, save his car, save his tires for the end of the race. If I'm Levi Cox, I'm going to see that, and I'm going to try to back my pace up too. And I'm going to try to just park myself at about this gap right here. I don't want to let him get any further back. I want to try to just, maintain, with Braxton's pace. And that time by, it looked like Levi backed it off quite a bit. He backed off his pace quite a bit to match Braxton's pace. So, that's definitely something to keep our eye on here over the closing 40 laps of this race.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. That's a great quality in a driver. It's not just about looking out that front mirror or front window, but also looking out that back mirror and seeing and observing what your closest competitor is doing. That's what has put Levi Cox into second, really in the points, and one of the championship contenders before the playoffs kind of start here in a couple of weeks. Levi Cox making it look fairly easy right now, but I think his challenge and task is going to get a little bit harder as we approach the final 40 laps of this race, entering really into the final stage, Chris. Hey, speaking of stages, let's hit stage 2 of our trivia tonight. Connor Lyons has 1 point on the board, but there's plenty more opportunities to get some points, potentially win that free 1/64th scale diecast. Again, our trivia tonight all about 2025 in the new year. Here's question number 2. Listen closely. What is the goal? Where is, Chris, NASA's Artemis 3 rocket going? It's going to be launching in 2025. Where is its destination? That is the question in the chat. I bet you know. That does not surprise me at all. Where is that Artemis 3 rocket from NASA slated to go in 2025? First 2 correct guesses in the chat get the trivia points. Where is Artemis 3 going? We'll get back to that momentarily. Top 3 has held station, Chris. Looks like Aaron Smith is continuing to lose time, though. He's fallen back into the clutches of Chase Leahy, who, albeit 3 laps down, has put up a pretty good fight here against Aaron Smith on lap 111 of 150. Just 7 cars remaining in the field, Chris. We talked about how tricky Darlington is, and it's proven to be a race of attrition with more crashes and more trouble than we've seen here in the TNT series in the past 3 or 4 weeks. So we have found a good rhythm. We lost a little bit of that early on in the evening, but we've gotten it sorted out. And as you mentioned, Braxton DeWeese thinks that this thing may go green the rest of the 38 laps remaining, which is why he's holding on to those tires as long as he can.
Yeah, and we'll actually look right here in the battle forecast, these race insights powered by Pierce Graphics. Last time by, almost 2/10 quicker, and then this time by about 2/10 quicker as well. So, yeah.
Chris, I wanted to interrupt you. I hate to interrupt you, but Aaron Smith just got the wall hard off of turn 2 and almost collided down into the inside wall on the backstretch. So that 70, he is really struggling. The last car on the lead lap right now, but Noah Rainwater, who's a lap down, is coming up on him. So not a good night for the 70. It's not going to be the worst night. He's in 3rd, but losing ground quickly after a really difficult moment and a heck of a save off turn 2.
Yeah, it was a great save right there. Yeah, that car, he's just in survival mode at this point. Just trying to make it to the end of this thing. And, if this thing continues the way it is right now, he's guaranteed a podium finish tonight with only 3 cars on the lead lap. Back up here, Ellis, though, in the second spot. This is getting a little bit closer between the leader, Levi Cox, and Braxton DeWeese in the second spot.
This is going to be the battle, what we imagine will be the battle for the win, pinning some sort of major swing. Braxton DeWeese, just in the past 2 laps, Chris, has closed it up by at least 7 or 8 car lengths. Now he's just 10 car lengths back and continues to close on Levi Cox. We're monitoring lap times. That time by Braxton was 0.2 of a second faster, Chris, than Levi Cox. He has found something here on lap 115 and just the final 35 remaining laps. Can DeWeese close up and put the pressure on Levi Cox and maybe pressure him into a mistake?
Yeah, and if you don't mind, Ellis, as DeWeese is in the wall right here in 1 and 2, that's going to all that ground that he had gained, he wound up losing. He lost over half a second right there to Braxton DeWeese. I'd like to ride on board with Levi Cox right here to start this lap and just talk through what you got to do here at Darlington. I figure this is a good guy to ride with. And working our way right here down the front stretch at the start-finish line. We'll show everybody what we mean by attack turn 1. You got to go all the way down here, clip that bottom right there with your left sides. Then you're going to get up on the wall right there. And then you got to lift again. You got to lift again to turn back down the hill to get up off the corner. It's like 2 different sets of corners down there in turn 1 and 2. 3 and 4, you got to be on the binders a little bit harder. It's a tighter corner down here than it is at 1 and 2, but this is the corner I think where you want to really wrap the bottom, because I think that saves your tires a little bit more than maybe running up top, but you do have some options on that end. Down here, there's really no option. You go down there, you get back in the throttle, get up there on that wall right there, and then you get off the gas to turn back down the hill, because there's no way you would make it off of turn 2. These cars get super, super tight off of turn 2, and you will knock the wall down, and you'll also kill the right front tire if you're not really aware of just how much throttle you're using coming off of turn 2.
Man, you made it sound easy, and Braxton Deweese is making it look easy right now from that front windshield camera, Chris. But boy, it is no easy task to get around Darlington Raceway here. Drivers have had 118 opportunities to do it tonight, and Levi Cox, Chris, hasn't really put a foot wrong all night. We've seen Braxton Deweese get into the wall a couple of times, but despite all of that, he remains in contention for this win in the closing stages of this race. I know his dad and fans are going to be rooting him on as they watch on YouTube right now. Let us know if you are watching, who you're rooting for, and go ahead, try to answer that question. Where's NASA's Artemis 3 rocket headed in 2025? We got a couple questions in the chat, a couple of answer guesses in the chat right now. We'll give you the answer to that here in, let's say, 2 laps as we watch Braxton Deweese try to claw his way back into contention here in the final portion of this race. Noah Rainwater, Chris, remains fast, one of the fastest cars on the track, but he just found himself in the wrong place at the wrong time a couple of times tonight, his TNT Series debut. But yeah, Noah Rainwater, that car, recognizable Talladega Nights. You a big fan of Talladega Nights, Chris?
It's all right for what it is.
Do you think it did a service to NASCAR or a disservice?
I think that there could be arguments both ways. I'm going to choose to look at it positively and just say, it brought more eyes to the sport. If somebody, watched that and thought, this is kind of funny, but it made them want to tune in and they're like, oh, wow, I'm kind of into this, then yeah, I guess it was more of a service than disservice. But people have been making fun of NASCAR for a long time. It used to bother me. It doesn't really bother me that much anymore.
It's a tale as old as time, right? It's just going to continue till the end of time. Hey, here is, as promised, your answer to this question. Where is NASA's Artemis 3 rocket headed in its mission this year in 2025? Chris, I'll let you go ahead and answer that question officially.
It's going to the moon. It's going to the moon.
You are correct.
And I think it's been set back a little bit. I think it's been delayed. I don't remember exactly. I think that there's going to be a mission first just to orbit the moon with human beings. But I don't think that humans are going to be setting foot on the moon in 2025. I just think that they're going to be orbiting there, because they've done an unmanned mission orbiting the moon with the spacecraft. I'm kind of into space flight. Hopefully it all works out. It's got a little bit of it's the name Artemis got some hidden meaning behind it, Ellis. Artemis is the goddess of the hunt. And do you know in Greek mythology who Artemis's brother is?
Oh boy, don't tell me yet. Give me a second to think about this. It's not Hercules, is it?
It's not. It's Apollo.
Apollo, which is the moon god of the moon, right?
Yeah, and we already had the Apollo program. First humans went to the moon, landed on the moon during the Apollo program. So I think it's got a very appropriate name.
Chris, your space camp training is paying off here.
That's right. Yeah. I've got all kinds of I wouldn't say useless knowledge about the space program, but got a lot of stuff floating around up there.
So that officially puts Connor in the lead with 2 points. Chris Deweese hits the board now for 1 point. So we're going to have 2 more trivia questions for the end of the night. Noah Rainwater might have gotten some trouble there here, Chris, on the exit of turn 4. Slow, but gathers it back up. And Chris, this battle for the lead, It is not slowed down. Deweese is now within 5 car lengths of the back bumper of Levi Cox. We're going to have a little battle here in the closing 24 laps here at Darlington. Can Levi Cox hold off Braxton Deweese? It's going to be tough. This 33 has some speed under the hood right now, and you can see some determination behind the helmet of that driver, Braxton Deweese, right now. You see it on the board. The battle forecast says 12 laps. Chris, I don't know if I give it that long.
Yeah, now it says 3 laps, and I think that the lap before, Ellis, this lap Levi got through 1 and 2 a lot better, but the lap before, Braxton Deweese yarded him through turns 1 and 2. We'll see how it shakes out this lap. I think that Deweese a little bit faster this lap as well. Watching them right here through turns 1 and 2. We'll see right here. Oh yeah, it just looks like there's a little bit better turn down the hill from the 33 than the 1. almost like there's a little bit more right front tire left in Braxton DeWeese's Ford.
And you got to be careful. You got to be careful if you're DeWeese here. We've talked about the importance of setting up passes all night. Catching the leader or the driver in front of you is absolutely one thing, but getting by them is another, because you can't just send it off down into turn one to try to slide by the driver. You've kind of got to set up your passes, Chris. We've talked about this before on the exit of each corner. You've got to get that run off the corner and get to the inside of that driver well before the entry into the next corner if you're going to make that pass cleanly and successfully. We've seen Braxton DeWeese show discretion all night long. How long do we have until that discretion and patience wanes to nothing and he goes for the lead and ultimately the win? You think he does it now, or you think he waits?
I'll say this, Ellis. I think that the time for letting drivers go when they get position on you has come and gone at this point of the race. I think at this stage right here, if you're Levi Cox and you're trying to defend the position, you're trying to avoid being passed, I don't think that you lift if he gets side by side with you. And I think that if you're Braxton DeWeese, I don't think that you lift either. I think that, it requires you to go side by side through 1 and 2, which is something that nobody is comfortable with, but something that you have to do.
And we've seen Levi Cox make that move to the inside to try to block that inside line headed down into the corner. He's willing to sacrifice that outside line. We've seen him do this with DeWeese multiple times over these 130 laps or so tonight. I think we're going to see that again, and if DeWeese wants to push the issue, we could have some contact before the end of this race, Chris, but it's setting up to be an absolute thriller coming into the final 20 laps of this race. Levi Cox, as we mentioned, is second place in points with Aaron Smith running in third. Levi Cox is, stands to gain 3, 4, 5 points as they approach Aaron Smith, Chris. Would you have imagined we would see Aaron Smith going a lap down here at Darlington with 20 laps left?
Not at all, but yeah, it's just, circumstances of what has happened to him tonight, and he's still, I believe, going to walk out of this with a third-place finish if all sort of, transpires the way that we think it will, so it definitely could have been worse for him tonight. As Braxton DeWeese gets closer and closer to Levi Cox, he's kind of hit a brick. Oh, as Cox is loose right here, that's going to cost him a little bit of time. Braxton DeWeese, you see Cox. Oh, DeWeese hit the wall as well going into turn 3. I think they're going to get away with it right there. Saw Levi Cox shading to the inside a little bit down the backstretch right there, wanting Braxton DeWeese to not even try to think about making that move right there. DeWeese's car is no doubt picking up a push as he gets closer and closer to Levi Cox. That aero push from all the dirty air, the wake coming off the back of that one car, it's going to make that 33 difficult to drive. And Levi Cox, you see him getting out in the mirror right there. Braxton DeWeese get down in the mirror of Levi Cox, trying to make him just look behind him, maybe make him miss his marks a little bit. If I'm DeWeese, I'm probably thinking about putting some rear brake to that 33 as close as he is to the rear bumper, especially on entry to turn 3.
Probably not a bad idea. DeWeese continues to close the gap here on Levi Cox, just about a car length and a half or 2 car lengths separating the lead. Chris, I'm curious, do we have a rear deck lid camera that we can look off the back of the back bumper of Levi Cox to kind of get a good look at what that number 33 of Braxton DeWeese is doing from behind?
The only thing we got is the rear bumper camera right here that we're looking at right here, but we do have, well, that doesn't show us what we want. We do have a left rear camera right here that's looking at from the left rear tire of...
The bumper cam's pretty good.
Yeah, so we'll just follow right here with Levi Cox right here, and you can see it's like a yo-yo almost. I think it's just that dirty air bubble that Braxton is in right here. Braxton charges into turn 3 right here, gets a good entry, gets back in the throttle pretty good, some pretty good turn. He just doesn't quite have the momentum to get side by side with. Oh, he's making him look.
Close battle here for the lead. 14 laps remaining here at Darlington, race number 11. Both drivers looking to go for the win. There goes DeWeese, shades to the top. Levi Cox, as we mentioned it, we guessed he would protect that inside line, and he does. DeWeese is going to have to lift off the throttle to make it through turns 3 and 4 cleanly.
Crossover.
Tries it, Levi Cox successfully blocks it at least before they get to turn 1. How forceful will Braxton Deweese be here? Deweese looking for his first win of the season. Cox looking for his second win in 11 races this season. Braxton Deweese loses a little bit of ground on the exit of turn number 2 there. Looks to gain it back as they head down into turn number 3. Chris, 2 different lines these drivers are taking. Deweese looks to be entering just a little bit higher. How's that helping his car rotate through the corner?
Well, it just helps him be able to get that run down the hill off of turn number 4. Maybe he's thinking about trying to set the pass up instead of trying to pass him off of turn 2 like he was earlier. Maybe thinking about trying to get position off of turn 4. As man, we see Levi Cox sawing on that wheel right there through 1 and 2. Looks like those tires are really, really heated up on that 1 car. Here's Deweese again making another charge at him.
Making another charge is that number 33. They exit turn number 4 onto the front straightaway, getting ready to hit lap 140 of 150. 11 laps left tonight at Darlington. Levi Cox has led much of the race, but Braxton Deweese has been right there all 140 laps. He's less than a car length away now. Cue the Jaws music. Deweese seems to have an edge in terms of speed, but can he make the pass? Very close to the back bumper of Levi Cox, but they avoid contact through turns 3 and 4. Now coming to lap 141, Cox still in the lead in that white number 1, with Braxton Deweese lurking in the blue number 33, not far behind, through turns 1 and 2 for the 141st time tonight.
Oh man, yeah, look at the turn down the hill from the 33. This is his best shot, I think.
Cox makes the maneuver to the inside to block. Will Deweese lift? He does. Decides not to carry the battle to the high line in turns 3 and 4. It's a dangerous proposition. He thinks better of it. He's got now 9 laps left to make something stick. Can Deweese, in just his 4th race with TNT, score his first victory? Both drivers shade to the high line towards that wall as they do at Darlington in turns 1 and 2. Down the back stretch they go to turns 3, where it looks like Deweese seems to have a bit of an edge. Now they both run similar lines this time by Chris. Is Cox making any kind of adjustments to his line? How important are adjustments at this point in the race?
I think that you kind of got to go with what brought you here. I mean, I think there is, a certain advantage to possibly mirror driving to be able to put some dirty air on the nose. But, and there's Deweese in the wall. That's a lot of contact to the wall, and he lost a lot of ground right there with just 7 laps to go. It's going to be really difficult to make up that ground, Ellis. We also saw that when they got side by side, I think it was net code, but that left front fender really crinkled up on the 33. I don't think they actually made contact. At least it didn't look like it on my end. But I think
it didn't look like it on my end either.
But I think the net code definitely caught them, and I wonder how much that's maybe hurting Braxton Deweese's turn right in the center of the corner with that damage on the left front.
We're going to get a good indicator here about those speeds this lap when all things kind of even out and Braxton Deweese runs a clean lap after getting to the wall there on lap 143. Where these drivers stand. It looked like Deweese had the edge there for a moment, got into the wall, and that's something we've seen Deweese struggle with a little bit more so tonight than Levi Cox, who hasn't really put many feet wrong. Looks like that time by Chris, Braxton Deweese was about half a tenth faster. Watching the battle box right now is showing Deweese dropping back just a little bit, but it looked like Deweese was faster that time by.
Yeah,
we'll see if that continues.
It's just the laps. I think that maybe Levi Cox tagged the wall right there getting into turn 3. It's just the number of laps. If he maintains this pace right here, I don't know if he can get back up to him before the end of the race.
Chris, and one thing just to interject here, big championship development. If you're Levi Cox, you're loving what you just saw. Aaron Smith passed by Noah Rainwater, who climbs to the 3rd position. It drops Smith, the regular season points leader, back to 4th right now. Both Cox and Smith vying for that regular season championship before the playoffs. Braxton Deweese continues to try to improve his position. Now just about 8 car lengths behind Levi Cox. He was faster the last lap by Chris by about a tenth and a half. That time by Cox outpaced Braxton DeWeese just a little bit, so they're kind of neck and neck, and there's only 4 laps left. If you're Braxton DeWeese, you got to find something special in the tank here in the final 3.5 laps if it's going to happen. Otherwise, Levi Cox is looking in his rearview mirror, seeing that 33 get a little bit smaller each time by.
Yeah, right now I think that if you're Braxton DeWeese, he made a charge up there to him, but I think that maybe in that charge, I think that maybe he used up his tires, and after that little bit of contact right there, he's not able to maintain the same pace that he was before. Now about a quarter of a second slower than Levi Cox that lap right there. I haven't seen Levi Cox make too many mistakes tonight, but it could still happen. We are at Darlington after all. So Braxton DeWeese, stay on that wheel right here. You never know what might happen.
Yeah. And they're coming up on a lap car. Looks like Chase Leahy's going to get out of the way for both of these drivers fighting for the win. So he's not going to be a factor in this one. Lap traffic doesn't look like it's going to play much of a role. We could always have a caution in the final 2 laps. But right now, Levi Cox in that number 1 continues to outpace Braxton DeWeese by at least about a 10th every single lap. And we are just now a lap and a half away, lap 149 of 150, getting ready to come here to the Whiplash SimCam's white flag, and it looks like Levi Cox, pending some sort of mistake, is going to walk away with win number 2 this season. Cox anchors it down to the bottom through turns 1 and 2 for the 150th time tonight. Lots of corners, lots of opportunities for mistakes from all drivers tonight. The one that has not made many mistakes at all is the driver of that number 1. Levi Cox looks to solidify. Oh, he's in the wall! Number 1 hits the wall, but DeWeese is too far back to capitalize. Despite the mistake, the number 1 is going to be number 1 tonight. He wiggles across the line for win number 2 on the TNT Series season. DeWeese is going to be second. Noah Rainwater is going to score a podium finish in his first race with TNT tonight. Chris, wow, that was a moment. Had Braxton DeWeese been a little bit closer, I don't know what would have happened there.
Yeah, if he was a little bit closer, who knows what would have happened. But, yeah, great performance all night out of both those drivers. And you mentioned our third place podium driver, Noah Rainwater, in his very first TNT start. Superb performance out of him tonight, and out of these first 2 guys as well right here. What a great show here at the end, and Levi Cox not putting a foot wrong basically all night long. That he was, until the very end right there, he was very, very clean all race.
It was a great race for Cox as well as the rest of the top 3. Aaron Smith slid back to 4th in the final 5 laps or so. It's going to have an impact on point standings. But before we get to the points battle by talking to the winner, Levi Cox, we're going to talk to Noah Rainwater, who finished 3rd place tonight. So we'll bring Noah into the broadcast booth here. Hey, Noah Rainwater, this is Ellis and Chris in the Slingshot booth. You got a copy?
Yep, I got you.
Man, congratulations. First time out. It was kind of a up and down sort of evening for you. Let's jump back to the very beginning. Walk us through what happened there on the initial green flag start of the race.
I don't know, because I was normal. All of a sudden, my rear end got picked up. I guess I was told I was blinking out and nobody could see me. So that kind of sucked. Hoping for a caution there so we could stack it back up and actually race, but never got one.
And you clawed your way back. I think that's kind of fitting based on the paint scheme you're running tonight. You clawed your way back into the top 4, and it was just kind of you just slow and steady progress through much of the race. Talk to us about how that car was handling and what the toughest challenge out there was for you tonight in that 4.
Yeah, car felt good on the long run for sure. Once I had some damage though, after hitting the wall a few times, it was plowing like a dump truck. But after about 20 to 30 laps, you start to feel a huge difference.
Man, you did a heck of a job in the number 4. Welcome to the TNT Series. Great way to start off your first race with this league this season. Noah Rainwater finishing 3rd. You got any shout-outs before we let you go celebrate?
Yeah, shout out the family watching downstairs. Stacy, everybody who tunes in weekly, and Chase for putting this on.
All right, that is Noah Rainwater, 3rd place finisher tonight. Congratulations. All right, so we heard from Noah in third. Now we're going to hear from Braxton DeWeese, the runner-up. Chris, we'll bring him into the booth right now.
Braxton DeWeese, our second place finisher. This is the Slingshot booth. You got a copy, bud?
I got you.
Man, what a performance all night right there out of that number 33, Allen's Art Images Ford. We saw you up there near the front, being very methodical all race long, and it seemed like you were making quite a charge right there at the end. Talk us through those final few laps. Did you need a little something extra maybe in the car to be able to make that pass?
I mean, you can always use a little bit more, especially the right front, but I felt like I did a good job of just saving and stuff and, getting to them while also saving the tires still. And yeah, just the closer you got, the tighter it would get, and you'd have to change your line. You wouldn't be able to run the line that you were running all the way to that point, and I was just having to try to run lower or try to run a little bit higher, and just couldn't really get the run off to make it work. We got a couple looks to the outside a couple times, but we never had enough to be able to keep it up there to the outside and to his right rear to try to make it side by side. But it is what it is. It's just next time we'll definitely try to go for the clean air first and then settle in, and because man, it's already hard to pass at Darlington just to begin with, and then dirty air just doesn't help at all either. So man, it's a tough track. It's a fun track. It's just being able to get a pass. You gotta set it up real good and get a real good run, or you just gotta have a lot better of a car. And we weren't able to do any of that, but second place is still good, and we'll take it. We'll move on.
You definitely put on a great show down there at the very end right there. We saw Levi sort of shading to the inside whenever you get close to him down the backstretch, maybe trying to protect that position. Was he like anticipating that that's the direction that you wanted to go? Would you have preferred to maybe make that move to the inside going into turn 3? But he was just kind of protecting that?
Yeah, just because of the tight setup. If you're on the bottom and you get a little tight, you can go up, and not to move him out of the way or anything, but you'll be in a better spot than being up at the top and being moved out of the way. So, not that I was going to do that, but for a scenario. Earlier in the race, I was on the outside. There was a car on the bottom, and he kind of came up, and it was almost bad, but we made it work. And but the inside probably would have been the better bet, just because in 1 and 2, it's where you really want to be. 3 and 4, you could kind of choose, but you just had to make sure you had enough momentum and you were able to slow her down. I couldn't really do that with the top side, and I didn't really have enough momentum coming off turn 2 to get enough alongside him there when he went down low, and went high because, if it's open and I got to run, I might as well take it just to see if we can stay side by side or try to make a run or whatever. So, just got to try to set it up a little bit better next time, and hopefully we can get to the inside maybe, or just be able to get to the outside a little bit more and make the pass happen.
Well, you definitely gave it a valiant effort, and definitely put on a great show for us up here in the booth and everybody watching at home. Before we let you go celebrate this great run, you got any shout-outs?
Yeah, for sure. We're still running the Christmas winter scheme, because why not? I mean, it's still winter, and it was just past Christmas, so I'm gonna keep running until the end of the season. So hopefully we can get Allen's Art Images a win. So shout out to them, as well as Interstate Ford, 3 Dips Ice Cream Shop, Ben's Pubicle, Jane's on Main, DeWeese Renovations, Unraveled Cinematography, Booth 34 Diecast, Short Track Report, Blaze Designs, as well as Evan Pinetta Designs, and Bully Dog Coffee Company. You can use Brax 5 for 10% off over there. And we'll be moving on to next week, Phoenix, I believe, so hopefully it'll be one spot better.
We're looking forward to seeing you out there. That's Braxton DeWeese, our second place finisher tonight. Congratulations on a great run.
I appreciate it. Y'all have a good one.
You too.
You too.
All right, so now we're going to hear from the winner, Levi Cox in Victory Lane. Hey, Levi Cox, this is Ellis and Chris in the Slingshot booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. How are you, Ellis?
Oh, man, I'm good. I'd imagine not as good as you right now sitting in Victory Lane. A little bit of a close moment there in the final corner of the race, but, man, you just are – in every interview we do with you, you're calm, you're cool, you're collected, and that really was showcased on the track tonight. You didn't really put a foot wrong. Very few mistakes, at least from our vantage point up in the booth all night long until that final corner, and we'll get there, but talk to us about kind of let's jump back to the restart. How did that kind of happen? What happened at the beginning to bring out or to kind of cause that multi-car collision? And what was your view of that?
Are you talking about on the very start?
The very start.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I guess somebody tried to time it just right or something, but I seen him hit the back of somebody and him go spinning, and I thought they were going to get Aaron in there as well, so I was just waiting for a car to come up, but it never happened. So I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but it was a mess.
You got away unscathed from that, and over the course of the evening, we noticed that your tire management seemed to get better that second run. We thought Deweese initially had kind of the better tire strategy and management, not strategy, but management over the course of the longer runs, and you kind of proved us wrong there at the end, saving those tires. How much was left at the end of this race in terms of how your car was handling?
I had just got the right front warning with probably about 4 or 5 laps, so they're probably down to high 20%. But yeah, Darlington's one of those tracks where you can still go fast and save tire at the same time. So I always find it very important to be out front and make them try to pass you at the end, because it's nearly impossible.
How much mirror driving were you doing there?
Anytime he was within about 0.0 or 0.3, I was definitely paying attention. Didn't want to go up the inside just because it's so awkward on the outside. But yeah, they gave it a good try there at the end. He caught me from over a second pretty quick, so I was pretty worried, but he said he had kind of ran out of tire as soon as he got to me, so that was good. Fortunate for me.
Man, you did a heck of a job out there in that number one. Next week, we're headed into Phoenix. I think it's going to be pretty close in terms of points battle between you and Aaron Smith. You made up a lot of ground on him tonight when he finished 4th. How important, how hard are you going to be racing for that regular season championship next week? Does that influence how you race at all?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to get it. That's the goal. Been saying it all season, but I think whoever wins the regular season has a very good shot at winning the championship. So I'd love to get it, but Darlington's one of my favorite tracks, and Phoenix is one of my least favorites. So it's going to be a big challenge, but I'm going to race Aaron hard, make him work for it every chance I get.
Well, it sounds like you got some practice to do, but we know you're up for the task, man. Congratulations on win number 2 this season. You got any shout-outs before we let you go celebrate that win?
Yeah, you guys at Slingshot Racing Media, Chase for putting on the league. It's great. It's been a fun league, and you guys do a fantastic job on the broadcast. I really enjoy watching you guys. Been in part of several broadcasted leagues, and I definitely enjoy your guys' production, the best out of them all.
Man, that means a lot. We appreciate that.
Cody Glenn Cox on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. If y'all haven't gone and listened to him since I won tonight, y'all got to do that. And leave a comment saying you've seen his logo on the side of an iRacing car.
Cody Glenn Cox Music on YouTube.
Yep. And then my fiance and Larry Yingling for crew chiefing.
All right. Hey, is there a favorite song we should listen to?
If you want a sad song that's a meaningful song, there's one called Landline. It's written about our dad who passed away about 12 years ago. It's a very good song for anybody who's lost a relative, so that one might be a go-to.
All right, man. Good tip. We appreciate it, and congrats on that win tonight. Levi Cox, winner at Darlington.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. All right, Chris. Levi mentioned it. We're headed to Phoenix next week for the regular season finale. That will lead us into the 3-race stretch for the playoffs. And he said it. The driver who wins the regular season championship is going to be positioned best in those final 3 races in terms of a slight advantage in points over their second and third place competitors, as well as the rest of the 10-car playoff field. Man, tonight was great. We were a little shaky at the beginning, right, in a couple of incidents in the first 50 laps, but it generally, for the most part, calmed down. Chris had a lot of it. Great side-by-side racing, exciting racing. Aaron Smith finishes 4th tonight, Chris. Going to bring him even almost with Levi Cox for the points lead into Phoenix. Joshua Kerner, 3rd, 5th place finish in the last 4 races for Joshua Kerner. Can't say enough about the driver of that vehicle. Chase Leahy brings it home 6th after some trouble in the middle portion of the race. Anthony Burleson is going to finish 7th tonight. Justin Clapper had a lot of speed early, Chris, but it's going to settle for an 8th place finish. He did not finish the race. Blake Hickman struggled much of the evening. He's going to finish 9th. Ricky Mandela Sr. finishes 10th, had some trouble earlier. A lot of drivers having trouble, Chris, in this race. It was a race of attrition, as we suspected and predicted it would be. The track too tough to tame. Darlington definitely claimed a handful of drivers tonight, including Michael Benton as well, with that 11th place finish. So what do you expect to see next week at Phoenix, Chris? Restart's going to be wild?
Yeah, restart's going to be wild. I believe that it's the... I haven't looked into this, but I think it's the new Phoenix. I don't think it's the Legacy Phoenix. So if it's the new Phoenix, like I suspected it is, yes, the restarts are going to be wild. Drivers are going to be cutting the dog leg just past the start-finish line, which is possibly going to create some drama. These cars can get, really, really upset, as, that transition is pretty harsh. So, restarts are going to be crazy. Probably we're going to cross our fingers, like Darlington. Phoenix typically promotes long green flag runs. So I suspect that we'll possibly see that again next week as well. Kind of a pseudo short track in a way. It's not really a short track, but it's got some short track tendencies to it. Multiple grooves on both ends of the track, and also a track that's got two ends that are very different from each other, like here in Darlington. So it should be a good show.
It's going to be a great show in the regular season finale. Hey, speaking of great shows, we had some trivia and some great performances tonight by folks in the chat, including Connor Lyons, who's going to win the trivia tonight with 2 points. Congrats, Connor. We'll get that car out to you later on this weekend. Man, Chris, it's been a great race tonight. We made it through it. One of the toughest, longest races of the season. The drivers did a great job. We appreciate everyone tuning in on YouTube, whether you're just watching or you're participating in the chat. We love our chats every single week. Thanks for everyone joining in. If you're watching it after the live showing, go ahead and leave a comment. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button. Enable notifications so you can get every Slingshot Racing Media race live on YouTube and get those notifications about it. Don't forget to enter into that giveaway for the Dale Earnhardt Jr. autographed 1/24th scale diecast car. The link for that is in the chat and the video description if you're watching it after the fact. And hey, thanks for the great cameras tonight from Whiplash SimCams. Chris, you made them look good out there. And I think that's going to do it for tonight until we head out west to Phoenix next week. Same day, same time, same channel for the regular season finale of the TNT series. Thanks for tuning in tonight from South Carolina. It's been a pleasure, everybody. For Slingshot Racing Media, this is Ellis Thomas and Chris Smith. We'll talk to you next week. Happy New Year, everybody.